It is this passion for teaching and for his students that is not only a defining characteristic, but also a compelling reason for his selection for this very prestigious award. It now gives me great pleasure to introduce our featured speaker, Professor Narendra Jaggi, recipient of the 2013 Kemp Foundation Award for Teaching Excellence. Professor Jaggi.
Back on. Michael. While we are waiting. Long ago, I gave up on trying to be eloquent, and people who know me know that I speak from the heart as the spirit moves me. I have a few slides and a few pictures as soon as the computer decides to wake up. This one against my time. Frank said, yep. So while we are waiting, I can start talking actually. March 27th, the date, will come up a couple of times over the next dozen minutes or so. That's not me. I wish that was me. That's me. So on March 27th this year, when Wesleyan announced that I was going to be the speaker, my wife Hansa, she put a link on her Facebook page. And of course there were likes at this time, 33, and a bunch of comments. But I want to draw attention to one particular comment. The one by Rupa at the bottom. I don't know if you can read it or not, so I'll read it for you. She goes, "We're proud of you, Bhai Sahab." Bhai Sahab just means brother. And of course, behind every successful man, there is always the wonderful wife. Well, Rupa got it sort of right. It's not behind every successful man, there is always. It is next to every successful man. So in this picture, she's literally in the middle, but in her real life, she is figuratively in the center of her small family. And you can't see her hands because in real life, it's she keeps us together, okay? So I want to get two things out of the way before I launch in. First, everything here is going to be from my Facebook page. So my old students, they're going to get the short end of the stick. Sorry. Second, let's get something else quickly out of the way. Okay, this is supposed to be the professor of theater and all that. So I went back and looked at the 6 courses that I taught last year. And sure enough, 5 of them, the students loved me, he inspired me and this and that. And there is this one in which, I ain't making this up, a student writes, "I don't know how to say this without sounding impolite, but he really does not know how to explain things to me." And he or she wasn't the only one. There were a quarter of the class who wasn't getting it. And I mention this only to say to my faculty colleagues, it is not about being the best teacher. Nobody is, nobody ever will be. Teaching is an interaction between a person and another person. Nobody ever figured out how to reach everyone all the time. It is about trying to be the best teacher you can be. In that spirit, thank you for this award. All right, so let's get on. I made up a title, called it Refracting Honor Through, Personal Prism. Simple argument. I needed 2 physics words, the refracting prism, gotta be personal, and it's the honors here, right? I'm using metaphor here, obviously. So all of you know what a prism is. You send white light through it, and on the other side, it analyzes it. It sorts out something as ethereal as light, it sorts it out, and it tells you what light is made of. That's what Newton thought of a prism, that's what everybody thinks of a prism. This morning, I want you to think slightly differently with me. On the other hand, if the prism, so this is a clear prism, on top is what light looks like if you send it through a clear prism. If that prism had about 0.5% of iron in it, or chrome or something else, it looks like the bottom one. Some of the light is not even seen then. Is it the fault of the light or of the prism when it's not even seen? On the other hand, physicists, by the way, have 7 hands. On the other hand, the top picture is again white light, a regular prism. The bottom one, same white light, same white light. But something called AD glass, call it Dr. Jaggi glass. But you see on the right side, this time you gotta be a little bit more careful. Stare at it. This AD prism, it is obsessed with yellow. It sees a whole lot of yellow and sees very little of the purple. But as a quote-unquote regular prism, it sees a lot of purple. It is the same light. One prism sees a broad range of yellow and a little bit of purple, and the other person sees no purple or very little purple at all. People think that prism tells you about the light. When you look at the right-hand side, in fact, what you're seeing is not as much about the light, but perhaps as much about the prism itself. Honor is the same kind of object, I think. Think of the white light as a lot of people being sent through the prism of honor. And on the right-hand side, some people will come up high and some low, some bright, some less so, some a broad spectrum, some very little, and some even missing. Think about it. Maybe when you look at the honors that any prism gives, when you honor someone, or when you feel honored, when I honor someone, or when I feel honored, or when the university honors someone, or when the university feels honored, or your church, or your temple, or your town, or your community, or your class, or your dorm. Who you honor, whom you honor, what you honor, how you honor. That refraction tells you about the prism, and you should care about it. What I'm going to do for the remaining 8 minutes now, I'm going to fast forward. I'll just tell you people I honor and quickly say why. And maybe you can play along. You can think whom you honor and why. Here goes. Facebook. List of my heroes: Mandela, Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr. Obviously, I honor peacemaking. I don't honor war. Okay, obvious. You know what? Right here you could pause for a moment. 1999, this university honored Reverend Greg Dell, a reverend who was being tried and humiliated in some circles for performing same-sex marriages ahead of his time. And we gave him an honor. And there were people really upset about it. And there were people who loved that fact. There were people who said, we need to honor this thing because it'll say something about who we are. You may agree or you may disagree. That's not my point. My point is, whom you honor, how you honor, tells the rest of the world what you are made of. One more. Father Christian de Brouwer, my physics teacher, the reason I became a physicist and a physics professor. My quote on the Facebook, true greatness is almost always accompanied by humility. I honor humility. Sir Paul, I honor you. (2005) 7 people I honor: Prakrit, Michael, Coyote, Brett, Gautam, Jason, Chris. They're all doing great stuff. PhDs from Harvard, Yale, U of I, postdoc, yeah. What is it I honor about them? Their intelligence, their hard work, their passion, their perseverance. And of course, I'm doing a damn good job of modeling hard work here, right? That picture actually is in the auditorium of CNS where I fell asleep, and Gautam took this picture of me and posted it on my Facebook. One of whom? Miss Classy, kill it. I just want to read one sentence here quickly. Something. All of the long nights of studying, the nights full of tears. And then at the bottom, my experiences have truly paved the way, and I don't think I would have gotten them from any other institution. Never been so happy to be a Titan. Narendra Jaggi, tagged. It is an honor to be tagged in a tag like that. See? What do I honor about this classy killing? The same 4 things. Intelligence, hard work, passion, perseverance, but 2 more. Resilience and class. The tears. It is one thing to honor intelligence and hard work. It is another to honor someone who fell and scraped but would not let it stop. That GPA, by the way, 3.824, is the GPA in med school. You gotta honor that. Ashley, if I start telling the story, I might cry. Probably the most ethical student I have met in 21 years at Wesleyan. I honor that. The only student who has ever come to my office and because in fact she had not understood it and she just got lucky. Aaron Massey, class of 2010, I honor him. Not only because he's from East St. Louis and he's doing great things, including a master's at Brown, but because he taught in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And you see the lines between honoring and being honored getting blurred here. If you notice, it says here, Aaron Massey updated his profile picture. That was his profile picture for a month last year. It is an honor when a student of yours puts up his picture with you as his profile pic. And I like this one too. I don't know if you can read it now. I say, is it just me or do we look a bit alike? Actually, I think we do. And Aaron says, yeah, I can see the resemblance. I think I'm going to call you Cousin Jaggi from now on. That's an honor when the student wants to call you a cousin. Dick said this. Okay, so this is back to May 27th a year ago. March 27th a year ago. Okay. The cool thing about this is that when I got upset and at noon on March 26th, I posted on Facebook, I was calling for this rally because I just couldn't take what had happened to Trayvon Martin and to Shema in Colorado. I called it hoodies or hijabs. The hate has got to stop. When in 23 and a half hours, 200 students show up on the quad. and wear the hijabs. That's Teresa. That's Adrian. Where are you, Adrian? There is you. Sarah, she graduated in December, Sarah Hartman. And Dick Wilson in the background there. I honor a president who would come to a rally like this. It says something about the university. I honor students who would wear the hijabs of actual living Muslim women in this town. These hijabs were from the Muslim women who live in this town. Gia Pringle, partly responsible for this editorial in which she quotes me. On Tuesday, nearly 200 students stood against the idea of diminishing some Americans based upon their race, their religion, and perhaps most shamefully based upon external markers of these differences like hoodies and hijabs. Well, I said at that time, and I meant it, and I mean it today when I say I was deeply touched, even honored, by the response of the students to this call. When a student like Tiger Payton, whom you know to be one of the nicest people you ever met in your 21 years at Wesleyan, posts on her webpage this picture and comments without question one of the best human beings on the planet, you know she is being nice and sweet, right? And yet you cannot but feel honored deeply. And Dick talked about the 2003 Student Senate Professor of the Year and the Carnegie Foundation Illinois Professor of the Year. But that wasn't the highest award. The highest honor for me, when the Student Senate decided to have a debate called Should the US Invade Iraq? They came to my office and they said, Dr. Jaggi, we would like you to moderate this debate. And I said, of course, but why do you ask me? There are 168 professors on campus. And they said, because we know you can be fair, because we know you are respectful, because we know you will let everyone speak fairly and honestly. A while ago on my Facebook, when I was celebrating a number of students, this spring is beautiful, you know, when students are graduating, there's so much to brag about. I had this comment from Megan. I don't know if you can read it, if I'm blocking your view, or the font size is too small, so I'll read it. Narendra, given all of the kudos you have been discussing lately, I should tell you that I've had several physics majors this year and last, and they have all been fantastic, creative, critically engaged students who have been a pleasure to have in class. And they're good writers to boot. You and your colleagues must be doing something right. If you know how good a writer Megan is, if you know how good a teacher she is, when she says that you and your colleagues in physics must be doing something right, that is a high honor. But nothing captures for me the honor, and I hope I don't cry. I try. Then this picture from homecoming last weekend, last fall rather. Get it together, Jackie. I'll let you see the picture and draw your own conclusions, but when you have in one picture this much color, this much joy, Yara, Ikena, and their baby, Ambry, Nicole, Ashley, Kiana, Reve, Nicole's kids, Issy, Vivek, Myla Green, traveling from God knows where to come and be in this picture. And Nicole Brown says on this picture, this pic makes me so happy. To which I responded on October 14, 2012. Nicole, we know right. Nicole says, Dr. Jaggi, I'm not sure it's possible for you to know how far your influence extends and how much you're loved. Sometimes to some people, some colors are visible a lot more than to some other people. That's okay, because each one of us has our own prism through which we reflect refract honor. And as I was putting together this last slide, at 3 a.m. night before, I'm a procrastinator. It occurred to me like a little aha moment. A few weeks ago, the New York Times had a beautiful article, something called "We Are What We Quote," Q-U-O-T-E, we are what we quote. It seems to me something like that is true of honor. Not that we are who we honor, because I'm not Paul Bushnell, you're not Narendra Jaggi. So it's slightly different. We honor those that we would like to be like. So we want to be more like those whom we honor. You will go out into communities that are rich and diverse. Here at Wesleyan, we are very thoughtful about being very inclusive in all of our honors. I charge you, keep your eyes open, keep your ears open. Watch out, make sure that the prism of your own community, of your own organization, fairly, inclusively, honors all aspects of human richness and human accomplishment. Thank you very much.